WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 20 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in this Monday morning. It is time now to have a chat with Congressman Richard Nugent, U.S. Representative Richard Nugent, on the phone right now. Just so you know if this is a live show or not, it is. If you're listening on Monday, April 7th, 2014. April 7th, 2014 is the date. If that's the same date you're listening, then you're listening to a live show, and that's important. If you would like to speak to Congressman Nugent, the number is 622-962-2622. WOCA is the WOCA Climate Control Source Hotline, and you can speak to Congressman Nugent right now if you would like. Congressman Nugent is a representative of Florida Congressional District 11. Good morning, Rich. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, Larry. How are you?
Pretty good. You got a clear signal today. Are you home? Where are you?
Yeah, I'm home. Just getting ready to leave for the airport, though, so I wanted to give you a quick call.
All right, awesome. And just so the listeners know, this is a great time to call. There's a lot of stuff going on in Tallahassee, and it's really super busy statewide. It almost looks like they're surpassing what's going on in Congress. Is that accurate?
Well, they probably are. I mean, they have 3 months window to get stuff done.
Right. All right. Well, we do have a phone call, so let's go to the phone. And good morning. You're on the air with Congressman Nugent.
Good morning, Congressman.
Good morning, Sonny.
This is Sonny Coley. I am terribly disappointed with the Republican Party and the Speaker of the House for willing to go along with that bill that says money is an expression of free speech. Well, he who has more money to contribute to various parties has more free speech than the average citizen. In other words, if I give $1,000 to your campaign and some big bank gives $200,000 to your campaign, which bill or who are you going to listen to more interestingly than me or the $200,000? And that's basically what the Speaker of the House has said is okay. I definitely think there should be a big change in how we finance our elected campaigns, such as the presidential or Congress or senatorial campaigns, because it's the old saying, money talks, everything else walks, and I'm afraid we have more politicians interested in money than the country or the people that elected them. I'll hang up and listen to your response, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, Sonny. What Sonny was talking about was the Supreme Court ruling that changed the maximum that someone can give in an aggregate, because before there was I think it was a $200,000 limit as to what, let's say, Joe Blow can give to all the candidates. So the bottom line limit has not changed. The fact that someone can only give $2,600 per election cycle to each candidate, that's not changed. That remains the same. And in a federal, you still can't take, like you can in the state, where the state race, you can take a check from a business into your campaign. That law still remains the same. Now, what it does allow is that when a PAC or anyone else, they had a limit as to how much they could donate in aggregate to any and all campaigns. So that has gone away. That allows them to donate, let's say, $2,600 to Rich Nugent's campaign and every other campaign that's out there. So there's no aggregate limit anymore. But it doesn't change the bottom line as to how much any one candidate can get. So it is a game changer. I mean, it allows people, and what Sonny's talking about is allows people to pump more money into every campaign and obviously not be as selective. let's say if they did, 80 campaigns versus doing, 200 campaigns, which they can now do today. So that was a Supreme Court ruling change that occurred.
What was the story this morning about President Obama? I'll just read the first paragraph just so I don't get it wrong. Sidestepping Congress, this is from the Associated Press. Sidestepping Congress, President Barack Obama is using the federal government's vast array of contractors to impose rules on wages, pay disparities, and hiring on a segment of the private sector that gets taxpayer money and falls under his control. Obama plans to issue an order this week prohibiting federal contractors from retaliating against workers who discuss their pay. What is that about?
Well, because they are federal contracts awarded by the federal government, and it's really a small percentage of folks that obviously work in the United States, but he has the ability to raise the minimum wage as it relates to those contractors. I would suggest to you, though, that probably most of those contractors are probably making well over the minimum wage anyhow, because they're in the construction industries, and if you remember the way the federal contracts work in the construction industries, you have to pay the highest prevailing wage in a general area. So let's say in the general area for us would be Tampa. Well, their rates are always going to be higher than what it is in Citrus and Marion County and Sumter. But a federal contractor would be required, it's already required for them to pay by federal law to pay the prevailing wage, which really puts contractors at distinct disadvantages when they're bidding these things out. So, but yes, he did. I mean, he changed the federal minimum wage on contracts, or he is going to change the federal minimum wage on contract, but it's a very small number of employees to that effect.
So when you go back, you're heading back today.
Yep.
What are the big issues that are facing you today? Is the statement that Jeb Bush made about illegal immigration being an act of love, is that going to be something that rattles anybody up there?
I don't know necessarily that statement will, but the immigration issue obviously is not going away. The president has made comments about him acting unilaterally, and already has acted in some ways in restricting deportations. So he's already indicated, and we're fearful is that he's going to try through the executive order way to preempt federal law as it relates to immigration. I mean, we all agree that the immigration system we have today is busted, and we absolutely have to reform it. And I think you're going to see something that's not going to be what the Senate passed. The Senate's fix is really irresponsible. But I think you're going to see some things come out of the House over the next couple of months, probably next 3 months, in regards to fixing, segments of the immigration law. But first and foremost, I think everybody's going to agree that the first thing that has to get fixed, or at least put in place, is how do you fix, the ports, borders, and the ability to come across those, because unless you fix that, there's really nothing else you can, is going to be of any importance. And the other thing is, how do you fix the part of illegal immigration today where people have overstayed, 40% or more have overstayed their visas.
Right.
So,
those
issues are important.
And I guess statewide, I mean, one of the immigration issues that here in the state of Florida was, I think it was if a child of an illegal immigrant who would also be illegal had gone to school, I think for 3 years in public school, then they would be eligible for the same resident discount in the state universities. As
that's something within state law that they're doing. That's not federal law; that's state law.
Right.
The issue, for Florida, two big issues, present to Florida on illegal immigration. One is, obviously agriculture, getting folks to work, to work in the fields, to, pick the crops, to, work at the dairies and work in those areas, real dependent upon, migrant workers. The other thing is, in the hospitality industry, it's really dependent upon a lot of migrant workers. So, and I hear it from builders too. So, we've got to fix a way as to how can you, have folks come in the United States legally to fill those jobs that Americans don't want to work at. So that's another challenge.
So I kind of took you on a sidetrack right there. Let me make sure that the listeners know this is a live show. If you're listening on April 7th, 2014, you are invited to chat with Congressman Richard Nugent about what's going on up in Washington, D.C. He's heading there today. How long were you home?
I was just home for Saturday, Sunday, and so just for the weekend.
Does that get old after a while? You always have to go back up there?
Yeah, every once in a while, it's like, I'd rather stay in Florida. Trust me, looking outside and the weather.
It looks like Russia is doing what they said they wouldn't do. And it looks like they're targeting Ukraine in general. Is that going to be something you'll be talking about with other congressmen today or in the near future?
We've been talking about it, and I was at a classified briefing on Ukraine on Friday, Friday morning. It was probably maybe 10 of us in a classified briefing on Ukraine specifically. And, it is we're poorly positioned, just be honest with you. I mean, that's obviously, that's open source. It's not telling a secret there. We're just poorly positioned. We haven't, had a really comprehensive plan, and Putin knows it. And, so, he's exploiting it. His whole end game is, he wants to, Russia to be back to the glory of the USSR. So
yeah, which would mean that every one of those countries should be a little nervous.
And let me tell you something. Every one of those countries are nervous. Every one of those countries that are within, walking distance to Russia are concerned, and rightfully should be. And some of our NATO partners should be concerned, and I'm I hear the rhetoric that we're prepared to do the things necessary to protect our NATO partners, that we have a mutual compact to protect each other. I don't know. We'll see what happens with.
Wow, that's kind of scary. I mean, it's so unsure what's happening in so many different parts of the world. The military exercises that we heard about in South Korea, the North Korean shooting into the waters. Nobody was hurt, from what I understood, but we were part of that too, weren't we?
Yeah, we were. And here's the the bottom line is that and then I think we keep saying it is the world is not safer than it was before. You got actors in North Korea that we have very we don't have much in the way of knowing what provokes this guy and what doesn't provoke this guy. And, he's unstable, to say the least. And then you have the Iranians who, are hell-bent on doing what they want to do. And you have, Russia with supporting Syria and supporting Iran. So, we have a number of issues. And then you have, China in Southeast Asia that is, really starting to flex its muscle and start to bully its neighbors. So, but we have issues.
We sure do. We have another phone call also. Let's go to the phone. Good morning. Thank you for waiting. And you're on the air now with Congressman Richard Nugent.
Hey, good morning. Sonny calling back again. Congressman, why is it something happens anywhere in the world, everybody sits back and looks at each other, and then they go, gee, what is America going to do about it? Excuse me, but these people should have enough, they've had enough time to assemble an army, whether it's a European Union army or the various countries work together in a NATO fashion to defend themselves. And if they don't like what's going on, well, that's their problem. They should have developed alternate means of resources to combat the resources that Russia is exporting to them at Russia's whim. In other words, Russia can cut off the exports to Europe anytime they feel like it. And it's whose problem is that? I'd say that's Europe's problem, not ours.
Right.
Hang up and listen to your comments, sir.
Well, and I don't disagree with Sonny. I mean, we shouldn't be the world's policeman, but
Well, we are.
yeah, but we are because
and
we
they,
are.
and they look at us as that, yeah.
Yeah, and we're the only ones that can project force. There's no other country, that can do it to the extent that we can. So that puts us in that particular position. When you look at what's going on in Ukraine, if you remember back when Ukraine split from USSR and became independent, one of the things that they gave up was their nuclear weapons, which, kind of put them at least on even par, not militarily totally with Russia, but it certainly gave them the capacity to, retaliate if threatened. Well, they gave them up. I mean, that was part of the push, was to get them to give up nuclear weapons as part of the whole idea of, non-nuclear proliferation. So, they did that, at the urging of, the United States and others, and they did. So, you kind of go, okay, they did what we asked them to do, basically, and or supported them doing, puts them in a tough spot. But when you look at all these small countries, I mean, they certainly don't have the military might that Russia has. And, Russia, I mean, has more nuclear weapons than we do, for crying out loud. And they have more tactical nuclear weapons, like almost 10-1, I believe, to what the United States has. So, and not every country obviously is created equal in their resources. And I don't disagree with, Sonny, but what's happened is Russia has these huge, vast, reserves of natural gas and oil, and the other countries in those areas do not. And they're supplying most of Europe with natural gas because they have plenty of it. That's part of what we were talking about. Is how can we counter that and make them less independent on Russia? And one way is obviously to sell liquefied natural gas to those countries, so they're not bullied by Russia. But they're a strong regional actor. And they're upgrading, all of their submarines, the nuclear submarines, so they can project force further. So, today we are the only, worldwide superpower. But listen, our abilities have diminished greatly over the last 10 years, and continue to diminish today. So.
Which is a shame. I mean, it just makes.
Well, like I said, I think I've said on other shows, is that if you can project the force. Then typically keeps you and your friends safe, because other ones don't want to necessarily test it and see where it goes. But when you start losing that capacity, then guess what? You really do open up our friends to problems. And
yeah, it is kind of strange that everybody wants to be independent, but nobody wants to create a defensive army to maintain that independence.
Yeah, the European Union. I mean, they're having a hard enough time just on the economic end of it to put stuff together. And most of those countries, I guess probably Germany is probably in a different spot, but they've put money towards their military. But other countries haven't. Britain has to some extent. Obviously, they've supported us, and
yeah. Well, and I think that's what it is. They depend on us.
Yeah, they do. And and we've sucked them into that over 40 or 50 or maybe longer than that. 60, 70 years. We've sucked people into that.
Yeah. We've got another minute or so. What time do you fly out?
I scoot out of here right around 12 o'clock. So.
All right, so you got about an hour. I think we had a call coming in and they bailed out.
Okay.
If we wanted to get a hold of you, can we just call your office around here? And
yep.
And do you have this is maybe a superficial question, but do you have a lot of people wanting you to just kind of speak at their events? And if so, do you? I mean, could somebody invite you to, for example, address their community or something?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I do that. Obviously, when I'm not in D.C., if we're back in a district, we get a lot of requests, from the 5 counties that we cover, but we try to accommodate every one of them that we can. That's for sure.
All right. Are you friends with Yoho?
Yeah. I know Ted.
Did you guys talk about the guy who's running for his seat? The guy who was dressed like a superhero. Did you see that story?
I saw that story on the internet. It did make me chuckle, that's for sure. So.
Well, you know what I said? I said, his wife looks a lot better in that superhero outfit than he does. Yeah. I think she outdid him. Yeah.
Okay.
Congressman, thank you so much for taking time out of your week. I know it's not always easy, and I know our listeners appreciate it. They don't call in as often as I wish they would. They call after the fact, but that's okay. Congressman,
that's okay.
Have a great trip. Thank you so much. Have a safe flight.
Thank you now. Bye-bye.
All right. We will push forward, and Fox News is coming right up. Thank you.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Fox News Radio, I'm Pat O'Neill. A partial victory for supporters of gay marriage. The Supreme Court declining to hear the case of a New Mexico photo business that refused to work at a same-sex wedding.
Elaine Photography challenged the New Mexico statute and fines associated with it as a violation of religious protection outlined in the First Amendment. The U.S. Supreme Court is turning away that company's appeal without comment.
Fox Radio's Jared Alpern. Oscar Pistorius on the stand at his murder trial in South Africa, apologizing to the family of Reva Steenkamp, the girlfriend he fatally shot last year.
There hasn't been a moment since this tragedy happened that I haven't thought about your family.
Pistorius claims he had mistaken the woman for an intruder at his home. Malaysian officials say they're hopeful there will be development soon regarding the missing jet. 2 new signals, possibly from the plane, were detected by ships in the Indian Ocean. Fox News, we report, you decide.
Fancy car washes. Pick the basic to leave your car dirty, the deluxe to add chipping away your paint, and for a few bucks more, they'll rip your mirror off. No way, Fancy Car Wash. Select car wash supplies are now 50% off at Napa. Oh yeah, 50% off. Stock up now and conquer the job with Napa Know-How. At participating Napa Auto Parts stores while supplies last. Offer expires 4/30/14.
And now, another golf confessional brought to you by Golfsmith. A man said he recently informed his wife he's going to start waxing his chest, only because the waxing place is right near Golfsmith, and they're about to have trade-in days. For a limited time only, when you trade in your old clubs, you get a 50% bonus towards new ones. He's got a lot of clubs to trade in, so he's going to wax his chest, eyebrows, back, and, well, just check out trade-in days at Golfsmith. Anything for golf.
I'm Major George Patterson from the Salvation Army. Please stop by our family store at 120 Northwest 10th Street in Ocala, where on Wednesday you have a 50% off clothing and bric-a-brac. On Friday, 25% off furniture and large appliances. And on Saturday, stop by to our yard sale from 8:45 to 11. Donations can be made by calling 352-732-4469 and we'll pick it up. Funds from the store go toward the services that we provide in Marion County.
Looking for something fun and exciting? April 11th through the 20th, the circus is here. Circa Italia is finally here from Italy. Now, for the first time in America, Circa Italia is making a stop in Ocala at Trinity Catholic High School. Circa Italia is offering a special deal. 1 free child's ticket, age 12 and under, are free when you purchase a regular price adult ticket starting at $20. This water circus has a limited number of shows